Well, hello there. It's sunny again. The weather in the UK is fantastically changeable. So today I'm aiming to talk about something that was a big thing a couple of years ago, but nowadays it's not, or well, I guess people think it's still the same, but it's different. Now, without further ado, the topic for today is simply the price of electronics in Hungary versus the UK or the US, or even versus Germany, or any sort of Western country. So the way it worked a couple of years ago is very simple. If you wanted to get cheap electronics and you had a holiday planned in the UK or the US or Germany, then why not put the two things together and buy stuff in Germany, the UK, or whatever other country, other than Hungary. Because Hungary has a sales tax, a sort of nationwide sales tax of 27%, versus 12% in most states of the US, although people can or should definitely correct me, but it feels like kind of that, or 15-20% in the UK, I don't know. I know that it's sort of getting higher and higher everywhere, but in Hungary wins every single competition. 27%, almost 1/3 of the price of any given product that you buy goes to the state. And by that amount, you would think that Hungary is the richest country in the world, but apparently it's not. What happens in the government? Oh, well, I don't know. But that's not today's topic. So, I did that as well. I traveled to the US, not for the sole purpose of buying electronics, but even 2-3 years ago that was a thing. And I checked the prices around the end of last year. Because I run my business in Hungary, and obviously it would be much easier and much less complex if I bought stuff in Hungary. So I checked the prices, how, with the expectation of how much higher could it be, because ultimately I don't pay taxes after my company's purchases, as the case in other countries as well. And much to my surprise, it turned out that the prices significantly dropped, or the prices here in the UK significantly increased. I don't know because I don't buy electronic products all the time. And in this case, I wanted to buy some hard drives because I need more space. So I ended up buying stuff in Hungary and bringing them to the UK with me for the purpose of putting them into that computer. It worked perfectly, although what would you expect when you actually have a rectangle, put it in a slot and attach two cables, and you can't really attach the cables in the wrong way because one is bigger than the other. But hacker man. And so that's the tale of me purchasing a couple of hard drives, but I kept checking other things as well, and it turns out that despite the high amount of sales tax, it's much more beneficial to buy stuff in Hungary now than here in the UK. Although I'm not going to do that with everything because the difference is not that great, but for the purpose of purchasing the hard drives, since my company usually deals with forints, then it was a relatively easy choice. But of course here I have pounds, and for pounds I just, go on Amazon and buy whatever. But long gone is the era of cheap electronics in Western countries, it seems. Although, it doesn't mean that the price of electronics compared to your salary would be significantly less in Hungary or the same as in the UK, for instance. Because if I buy something that is, let's say, 1% of my salary, in Hungary that would probably be close to 10 to 15. And I don't want to go into an explanation of how low salaries are in Hungary, but my theory is that that's why electronic products are cheaper now, as opposed to being more expensive in the UK. And if you think about it, that was kind of insane. We are talking about a country that has 3 or 4 times less money coming into an individual household than in the household peers in the UK or the US. And the prices of electronic stuff or the prices of food and everything else is more or less the same. And when I say more or less the same, there might be a 10% difference. Sometimes things are a bit more expensive, sometimes things are a bit cheaper, which is expected because Hungary is a landlocked country, the UK is not, and so I would expect fish at the seaside be a bit less expensive than the same type of fish from the sea in Hungary. But besides that, things are generally a tiny bit less expensive, but that's not enough to justify the low salaries in the country. And to give you a general feel of what's going on, when I arrived here, my brain capacity and my talents and whatever I have did not change significantly. So between leaving Hungary and arriving to the UK, and that was about, 2 days by car, I did not get a lot smarter. So I would assume that the amount of income I had in Hungary is more or less the same here, as in exchange for the knowledge. I'm not sure that makes sense, but let me further explain. So I would assume that from the same amount of salary, in exchange for the same amount of knowledge, I get the same amount of stuff here than I would get in Hungary. So, I can travel, I can go to the supermarket and buy a hamburger or whatever. But the truth is that here, or as I talk to friends in the US, the UK, Germany, Austria, and all these other places, the general amount of stuff that you can get based on your income is more than what you can get based on your income in Hungary. So I could say, although I'm not sure that this is the proper technical term, when it seems that my purchasing power has increased just because I traveled 1,500 miles to the west. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to leave you with that today, and just tell me if that makes sense, or tell me if you've experienced something else. I know that some people travel to Hungary or India or other countries, and I wonder if someone moves from the US to Hungary, would their purchasing power drop? That's what I would expect, since if you're a programmer in the US and you are a programmer in Hungary, I would assume that you would get the proper Hungarian programmer salary, whatever that is. So you can't get 5 times more. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and please comment on whatever knowledge you might have. I always read them, but I'm sure that you can tell that, because I usually answer. To the comments I think I can answer. Goodbye!